The Year of the Griffin is soon to be upon us. BlizzCon recently was held online and had a lot of cool news to it. The Madman! Let's start this cool little Year of the Griffin teaser shot, where you get to see all the expansions. We learned that expansion 1 is going to be Forged in the Barrens, and given that you know that, you can kind of tell that it was some sort of horde, because, you know, big red, and it was kind of grassy, so, okay, not too surprised by that, right? And then I was looking at this expansion 2 and expansion 3 thing. It does look like it's obviously Horde, Alliance, and then clash of Horde and Alliance. However, can we get a little bit more detail about expansion 2? Can you zoom in? Ah yes, it's a pink petal of some sort. And I've only seen pink petals exactly one time, and this was when Arthas is returning home to Lordaeron and walking up to his king. There's some, you know, bells tolling, the pink petals are falling, so something to do about this Lordaeron, like the pre-fall Lordaeron, I think. And then expansion 3. It's winter, it's the battle between the Alliance and the Horde. That's gotta be Alterac Valley, right? So, Year of the Griffin. Gonna be cool. And the thing that I'm most particularly interested in is going to be mercenaries! So what is Hearthstone mercenaries? Well, it seems like speculation has gone a little bit wild because people were going as far as to say, wow, it's like Slay the Spire in Hearthstone. I don't think it's going to be quite like Slay the Spire, even though this map looks very Slay the Spire-esque, where you're clearly going to start somewhere and then you have branching paths, you choose a path, and you ascend down this, as they described it, it's a rogue-like adventure. However, it seems like they were very purposely vague on the details. You're going to pick a team of mercenaries, and by the way, you're one main mercenary hero, so there's 10 classes in Hearthstone, so 10 like mercenary leaders, and under him or her, there's a team of mercenaries, which could include characters like Sylvanas and Ragnaros. I think it's a little optimistic to say that it's going to be like Slay the Spire, because it certainly doesn't sound like you make that many decisions, so to say. But at the same time, and I was trying to like, oh no, is this just like an idle game where you know, select a team of heroes and then you just send them to battle and then, you know, they automatically do abilities? No, it sounds like you're gonna also be using abilities each turn, given their wording. So I'm really curious about what this is gonna be like. In my head, it sounds like it's gonna play out like one of these turn-based RPGs. On the Hearthstone interface, it's hard to imagine what it'd be like. Like maybe you click on one of your mercenaries and then you get like a discover option of what move they're gonna do. Perhaps something like that. It's hard to imagine how they're gonna set that up in Hearthstone. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it's gonna play out though. I expect to be playing a lot of this mode. Also really cool is that there's a strong sense of progression. Each time you play, apparently your team of mercenaries levels up. Perhaps what's even cooler is you might expect this mode to just be PvE. And yeah, the PvE concept is going to be really strong, but there's also a PvP element. They described it as the PvE section is going to be more like a puzzle, big strategy. PvP version is going to be like a little bit of bluffing and like being able to foresee what your opponent's going to do. Because, and you know, I'm just trying to imagine how this is going to work here, but it sounds like you make all your decisions and they happen simultaneously. That is complete speculation, but educated speculation on my end. That would be like a Pokemon team battle where you presumably have very many numbers of mercenaries out on the board. And, you know, in my head I'm picturing, is it going to be 3 mercenaries? Is it going to be 7 mercenaries out on the field at one time? It sounds like somewhere between 3 and 7 guys fighting your opponent's 3 to 7 guys. You know, it's fun speculating about this stuff, but I'm looking forward to getting more information at a later time. Let's not dive too far down the speculation hole. They were saying there's going to be more information about this and that Mercenaries is out this year. So getting it along with the first expansion of the set would be a surprise. I don't expect it to be at the very start of the expansion, but maybe like during the midpoint of that expansion. That would be a very optimistic release date. So I've got another video coming out specifically on Forged in the Barrens and the cards that have been revealed so far. This particular video is going to focus on the core set. As you may or may not know, Hearthstone with the new expansion will rotate out all the cards in the classic and basic set and instead rotate in the core set for 2021. This is going to be a free 235 cards provided to all players. And some of the cards that are rotating in and or some of the cards that are staying have been buffed as well. So example of a card that's staying in and gotten buffed, Assassinate, 4 mana instead of 5 mana. While that's probably still too weak to be run, it's just a good baseline to set so that the new players who don't have Coerce, say, are not going to be that far away. And it's cool to see that the core set has Power Crept, an actual expansion card. You know, it was an expansion card in the past, but Walk the Plank has just walked the plank. Even cards that are coming back could be changed a bit to make them more in the realm of playability. Example being Menagerie Warden. Originally 6 mana 5/5, the 5 mana 4/4 version is definitely quite a bit stronger because for the Druid, the main reason you wanted to run Menagerie Warden was to do the battle cry, choose a friendly beast, summon a copy of it. And given that Twilight Runner is still going to be in the expansions post-rotation, I could imagine Twilight Runner being followed up by Menagerie Warden being quite strong. There's also Teacher's Pet, which I imagine would be a beast to copy with Menagerie Warden. So pretty exciting news. The core set's main dragon aspects are still staying in the game, but they're drastically reworked. You've got ultimate value card Ysera the Dreamer here. 9 mana 4/12 dragon, Battle Cry, add 1 of each dream card in your hand. And by the way, these dream cards have gotten changed a little bit, but there are still 5 of them. Ysera Awakens changed to 3 mana, up from 2. Dream, 1 mana, up from 0, and also can only target the opponent's stuff. Nightmare, +4/+4 instead of +5/+5. Laughing Sister, buffed, 2 mana instead of 3. And then you still have the good old Emerald Drake, which is a 4 mana 7/6, which is, you know, probably the best one. But yeah, you draw 5 really strong cards when you play this 9 mana 4/12. Tempting the Mayor of Valuetown to include this in all of his value decks, of course. Malygos the Spellweaver, drastically changed but also very strongly focused on spells as per his flavor. A 9 mana 4/12, Battlecry, draw spells until your hand is full. This still has some combo applications where perhaps you put in a very specific set of spells in your deck and then you play the Malygos, which guarantees that you draw them all. And then you like combo off next turn. That might work. You could put in all the Cthulhu pieces and then just draw them with the Malygos and like guaranteed cast Cthulhu in a few turns. That could be pretty sweet. And then Deathwing the Destroyer is basically just strictly better because you now discard fewer cards each time unless you really wanted to discard all your hand. But, you know, that's probably not what you wanted to do. Still probably not going to be run because it's only heavy control decks or combo decks that would want to destroy all their minions, and then I don't think they can spare the cards in their hand. And it's very difficult to think of the deck in particular that would want to play a 10 mana 12/12 and then destroy all their minions, but like not have run the old Deathwing. But hey, cool that they're buffing the card. Some of the cards that they're adding into the rotating core set are actually pretty spicy. You got the Novice Sapper from the Shaman, a 1 mana 3/2 with spell damage +1 and overload 1. It's really nice that you only have to pay 1 mana for spell damage +1. Looks really strong in an aggressive burn deck. Duh. So quite a lot of the Shaman's cards have gotten changed because the original base set for Shaman was pretty useless, really. That meant that how good Shaman was depended a lot on the power of the expansion cards, which often had to be really good to make up for the fact that Shaman had very few cards they could play from the basic set. So, a lot of these cards have gotten buffed. Feral Spirit now only has Overload 1 instead of 2. Lightning Storm now always does 3 damage instead of 2 to 3. And Earth Elemental, 1 fewer Overload as well, making these cards actually all quite strong. The Feral Spirit is a 4 mana for 2/2/3s, but you know you can play it on turn 3, which is a tempo advantage. The Lightning Storm is one of the first times that you can just deal straight 3 damage to all enemy minions. That's at a pretty decent cost. And the Earth Elemental is just a big boy. The Earth Elemental out of these 3 is probably the least likely to be played, but you know that starts to get tempting, the ability to play 5 mana 7/8 taunt. Another major shaman change is going to be the hero power. It changes one of the totems that can be randomly summoned. Wrath of Air, the spell damage totem, is replaced by the Strength totem, which really rewards you for having a wide board. Synergizes more with pushing the button more, because then you can get this totem, which is actually very frightening to have on the board because it constantly buffs everything else. Other new cards in the core set, you've got Felsoul Jailer for Warlock, 5 mana 4/6 demon. Battlecry, your opponent discards a minion. Death Rattle, return it. It's actually very exciting that they're giving such an active disruption card in the core set, establishing Warlock as a big disruption class. That said, it's temporary disruption, which is probably healthy, and looks a little bit on the weaker side, but you know, decent stat line, cool effect. Overlord Runthak, it's a legendary minion. 5 mana 3/6 with Rush. Whenever this attacks, gives +1/+1 to all minions in your hand. They are establishing hand buff as a core set mechanic, which sets up the rest of the expansions this year to possibly build on hand buffs, or possibly include, you know, hand buff synergy. So that's cool. Seems like the card might be playable if there were some hand buff synergy cards. I think on the baseline, probably not good enough. Vanessa Van Cleef, 2 mana 2/3 rogue legendary, replacing Edwin Van Cleef. She's got combo, add a copy of the last card your opponent played to your hand. So much more specific timing here. And I say this each time I see a cool value card for Rogue. Looks like she's setting up some sort of potential value Rogue deck. Or maybe value Rogue's a unicorn, who knows. And then Priest has Thrive in the Shadows, 2 mana, discover a spell from your deck, notably different from Shadow Visions because it is basically take the spell from your deck as opposed to get a copy of it. Old Shadow Visions was often used in the control deck to just really flexibly either find your combo piece or get out some board wipe, board clear the turn before you needed to cast it. Thrive in the Shadows seems like it can still do that. It's a useful tool for Priests to have in their toolkit. Thrive in the Shadows seems like it's particularly interesting because it seems like you can find out what happened to Mancrick's wife with Thrive in the Shadows. More on what that means, you should watch the other video as well where I cover the new set and all the news from that. New set is going to be Forged in the Barrens. Looking forward, as always, to the expansion period with all the new cards.